you, Jesus fucking Christ. Welcome to the Papi Shulo channel. Today I am going to show you how I did a sole swap and full restoration on Atmos Elephant Air Max 1s, the 2017 retro re-release. I used corduroy Air Max 1s that were recently released because they had a lot of similar qualities. The black outsole, the black inside the window, and the midsole was cream, which I was sure that I could paint white. If you're trying to keep the upper in a good condition, you certainly don't want to use any solvents or anything that might damage anything on the upper. Heat is the best thing that you can probably do. I chose to use hot water for this, and for this release, it was a piece of cake. It really was. I'm recycling the boiling water not only because it's the right thing to do, but because it takes a long time to boil a lot of water. So you might as well just keep your hot water hot. So easy, a caveman could do it. These corduroys were a totally different story, man. I don't know if it's because they're a new release or what, but that glue was serious. This glue pays its taxes on time. This glue has a great credit score. This glue keeps its lawn immaculate. So I had to use the acetone for this, and even the acetone was not a foolproof thing, because there were still scraps of corduroy on the glue, as you can see. Shout out to John Manalo. If it wasn't for John Manalo's channel and what he does on there, I wouldn't do what I do. His channel was a true inspiration that got me through the pandemic, essentially, and he taught me a lot of things about restoration of shoes that I'm basically, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for John Manalo. That being said, I have a John Manalo drinking game for you. Watch any one of his videos, and anytime he says acetone and cotton balls, drink. Has to be both acetone and cotton balls. Even with the Dremel, man, this glue took forever to get off. The new midsole was more shallow than the original midsole, so I had to make some modifications. And when you're making these types of modifications, just try to be even all the way around. Somebody's going to be walking in these, and you don't want them to feel like the bottom of their foot is not level. Acetone and cotton balls. Just removing the factory finish and some of the paint on the midsole. I don't like to go crazy using acetone to remove the paint on a foam midsole because it starts to soak up the moisture and then it starts to get warped. So I don't like applying too much. Shout out to Footprints. He is basically, I consider, the MacGyver of the sneaker restoration game. This idea is from him. I just put paper towels into the window units and wet them to make them sticky, and that protects them during the painting process. after all that, I don't think that Angelus flat white paint is the right color white for this shoe. I got some Folk Art matte titanium white, and I found that that was a much closer match. So I started over, and I'm using sandpaper instead of acetone because, like I said, I don't want to oversaturate a foam midsole.
And shrimp in 10 hours, less what you spend on gas. You can...
Down, drill sergeant! Go! Why did you put that weapon together so quickly, Gump?
You told me to, drill sergeant.
Jesus H. Christ! This is a new company record. If it wouldn't be a waste of such a damn fine enlisted man, I'd recommend you for OCS, Private Gump. You are going to be a general someday, Gump. Now, disassemble your weapon and continue.
Anyway, like I was saying, shrimp is the fruit of the sea. You can barbecue it, boil it, broil it, bake it, saute it. There's shrimp kebabs, shrimp creole.
Finally got the color right. And I do want to say something about using a heat gun or a blow dryer on foam. Don't overdo it. Don't set the heat settings too high, and don't stay in one spot too long, because you will leave burn marks and you will warp the midsole, and that's not something that you want to do. So take a little bit longer and be very careful around the air bubbles, or else they will pop, like this one on the old midsole popped. At some point I should invest in a spray booth because I am having some issues with dust. And speaking of dust, what is this guy smoking? This OG shoe has a gloss finish on the midsole, so that is what I'm doing here. Shoe trees are cool, but if you have a shoe last of the same size that fits the shoe, it is so much better to use it to get the creases out. Now I'm using Angelus shoe stretch spray and heat. You have to get the heat close to the leather in order to get the creases out, so do not do this unless you are confident you're not going to burn the shoe. I'm just roughing up the inside here so that the glue adheres better. And safety first, here's your mask. That was a joke I totally stole from John Manalo. I swiped it, and I'm sorry, here's your credit. Cotton balls and acetone. This silicone brush really changed the game for me when it comes to applying glue. It makes it so much neater, so much nicer, and it's very easy to clean. Once the glue dries, you can just pull it right off. So it is a great investment. Link is in the description below. Sometimes it's really necessary to make a pen mark as to where the midsole needs to go up to, but it was clearly defined on this upper, so I didn't see a reason to. I gave the glue an hour to cure. What is curing? It is just making sure that it dries out completely all the way to the core. And same advice applies here with the heat and the glue. Don't overdo it. Don't burn the midsole, don't burn the outsole, don't do any damage that is going to be irreplaceable. When I first started doing sole swaps, I used to do this part way too fast because I was terrified that the glue was going to dry really fast, and then anything that I was going to do was going to be all messed up. But you'd be surprised at how forgiving Barge Super Stick is. It stays sticky for a while, and if you mess up, you could always just heat that part up again. Case in point, I didn't like the way it was sitting in the front here, so I just applied a little bit of heat, pulled it right off, and then reset it. No big deal. So initially with this shoe, I had just done a re-dye basically and posted it for sale. But the reason why I'm doing another re-dye is because I removed that re-dye. I got absolutely roasted in the comments because the re-dye had leaked onto the elephant print. I honestly didn't notice this until it was pointed out. Speaking of comments, if you are doing a custom in progress and seeking advice and constructive criticism, don't go to the sneakers subreddit. Now, I actually ended up doing what I had in mind, which was making the shoe look like it came out in 1986, but still DS. Sneaker culture should not be this toxic. Fashion is an art, and all tastes are not for all people. You don't have to like everything, but if you don't like it and you want to share your opinion, be kind. There is a real person associated with that work, and that real person is trying to get your feedback, and this is what they get. It can be very discouraging. Real sneakerheads show love. You don't have to love what everyone's wearing or how they're wearing it, but you can be constructive and kind with your opinions. Rant over. So in the process of removing the dye using RIT dye remover, not using bleach, some of the other dye got removed as well, so I needed to do some touching up so it looked nice and dark and uniform. And even though the dye bleed was gone, there was an aging to the elephant print that I was trying to reverse. I was trying to come up with a way to make it look more gray and less brown. And I achieved it using sandpaper. It looked really, really nice. But I went too far on one part and decided to remove all of the elephant print there. Using pictures that I took of the shoe initially, I made an exact stencil of the exact pattern that was already on the shoe in that section. Now I think it came out looking like elephant print, looking pretty good, but I also think it came out not matching the rest of the elephant print on the shoe. So I started over, I put another stencil on there, and decided to lightly hand paint, because footprints was gonna save me once again. Here is a wood burning tool. I am using it to restore the texture of the elephant print. Another brilliant idea by the MacGyver of sneaker restoration, footprints. I loaded a needle nose paint applicator with paint that already had a glossy finish, because if you look really close at elephant print, it does have a bit of a glossy finish, especially on the interior.
You, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, that's a thing that happened. So I had to start over, but I think it turned out pretty dang good. You guys tell me what you think. Here's the finished product on the entire restoration of the Atmos Air Max 1 Elephant 2017 Retro. I forgot to film repainting the toe area, but that is also repainted. We did the sole swap together. We did the re-dye together. We read some awful comments together. We laughed. We cried. We did other stuff. So let me know in the comments what you think. These are a size 10.5 and are currently on sale on my Instagram and my Reddit page. This is essentially how I am supporting myself, because I am doing this full time now. I am certainly not getting rich off of this, but I appreciate the support. So if you like these shoes, then give me a shout.
fucking Christ.